So, welcome back, everyone. Episode 1 of season 2. And we have Christiana from Valor Tequila. Welcome, and thank you for being on the podcast.
Well, hi, guys. Thank you for inviting me to be here. I'm so excited, and especially now, Matt, after I met you on Saturday. And once again, super enthralled with what you guys all do for a living. So, your real job, your paying job.
The paying jobs.
Yeah.
The ones that
I
make
understand
the rent.
that. I have one of those too, but Laura's not it.
Paying job.
Yeah, exactly. So what's your paying job? Is it not as fun as Valor?
No, it's my other company. I have another company called Do Goodery, and it's
good.
a social impact and sustainability consulting agency. That's why I've been doing this work forever. So Valor, this bleeds into Valor. So the team that works at Do Goodery basically works at Valor.
Y'all hiring?
Too. Not for free. Interns. 100%.
Free 50 free.
Free
You know,
50 free per hour.
Free tequila.
Whoa.
I mean,
yeah.
That might be tempting.
I will work for free tequila.
Oh, come
Amazing.
on. Absolutely.
Christina, I just had Valor. I just literally sipped it, 10 minutes ago for the first time ever. And I'm getting to this point in my tequila journey. If you can even really have a journey. Everyone says they're on a journey. Let's just call it my tequila quest. And I get to a point sometimes where I'm like, I want to open a bottle and I don't want to love it. I'm like, next time, not this time. Valor, I'm like, I took a sip. I looked at Matt. I go, why? It's so good.
Oh, wait, why wouldn't you want to love it?
How much can you love one? It's like, it's one type of alcohol, but it's so nuanced and it's such a variety. And you start to understand the science and the art of the distillation process of the agave, of where it comes from, stuff that's coming off of a side of a volcano that grew at a 90-degree angle versus the stuff in the highlands and the lowlands. And you're just like, and then don't get me wrong, once in a while I'll have a tequila, I won't throw anyone under the bus, but I'm like, okay, thanks, but no, I won't have it again. Cool. It's additive free. It's artisanally made. Sure. Okay. Awesome. And then I just sometimes I take a sip and I'm like, damn it, I got another one on the list I got to go buy. I got to spend more money on it. Because I get to this point where I'm like, I have 10 bottles that I just, any of this kind right here, I'm going to drink it no matter what. I'll buy it. I have that consistency, and now I've got another one on the list.
And for me, it's kind of the same. I hate when I open a new bottle and love it, because then that's one more bottle until I got to get back to Don Fulano Still Strength. I always want to get back to Fulano Still Strength.
Right.
And every time I open a new bottle, I'm like, I got to finish this before I can go home.
Yes.
Got to go home.
Oh my God.
Me,
I'm so
I'll
glad
just-
you guys like it.
I'll just try everything, and I pick up a bottle here and there. Well, maybe more than here and there, but have them proudly displayed. So
Listen,
Yes.
I love it, you guys. And the thing is that we all love different things, right? There's enough for everyone's palates. That's what I love about being a human being, right? And there's 8 billion
Absolutely.
people in this world. So some people might like apples, some people might like oranges, and it's the same with tequila, and that's why I really feel so strongly about collaborating with other brands and supporting other brands, because again, 8 billion people in this world, and if 1% like tequila, that's 80 million people. Not one brand can satisfy that, So,
And if 1% of them can subscribe to the podcast, we will have it made.
Absolutely. Same for Valor.
Yes.
That would be fantastic. Fantastic.
So you're a brand that gives back to the community. How does your brand give back to the community?
Yeah, it's a great question, Matt. So we say 10% of every bottle goes back into the community. Right now, it's like 10,000% of every bottle. But it's, we're a little underwater in our community investment work, but that was the commitment that we made. So, tequila is a multi-billion-dollar industry, but the money stays up here in the United States or in the UK, but doesn't actually go back to the people that quite literally break their backs at times and legs and lose limbs to bring the spirit to the world. And it's in, like many supply chains, most supply chains don't begin in the United States. They begin in other parts of the world, and we get to benefit from, really unfair labor treatment. So the whole idea was, how do we create a supply chain where the person at the beginning of the Valor supply chain has the opportunity to build generational wealth, have access to healthcare, safety equipment, all the way to me to making, a living as well, because I personally don't need to be a billionaire. I have no desire to be. So for us, we've spent the last 2 years embedding ourselves in the community where the distillery sits, San Pedro de los Landeros, really understanding what are the biggest needs for the tequila community, specifically in the one where we work, and how can we help address those. So the most important thing to know about our work is that everything that we're investing in is being informed by the community, not by us coming in and telling them what to do. And for the last 6 months, we've been funding a research team from the University of Guadalajara and the Colegio de Michoacán, who have actually been living in the community, really understanding, the biggest gaps and needs. And the outcomes of that work have been tremendous already. So that's what we mean when we say we're giving back. We're quite literally trying to transform an entire industry.
That's really good. And how did it start? You said it was born out of the other company that you already ran. How does something like that happen? How does something as good as Good Tequila come out of that?
Yeah, it was so serendipitous and random all in one. But like I said, I've been working in sustainability and social impact my whole career. I did it at Disney for 7 years, and then I worked for an environmental nonprofit in Washington, D.C. for 7 years. And then I began Do Goodery 5 years ago this year, actually. And so my entire career has been devoted to working with other companies to help them be better and more responsible. And then I launched Do Goodery at the fall of 2019. And then in the winter, December of 2021, one of my advisors, his name is Tom Staggs. He was the CFO of Disney and has been a great friend and mentor to me since I left. And he said, Christiana, you've spent your entire career helping other companies be more responsible. How about you start a product company so you can actually model what it looks like to be responsible and ethical and fair from the very beginning? And I thought to myself, well, shit, I just started Do Goodery 2 years ago, but why the heck not start a second company? Let's do this. And so I couldn't really I was like, what would I do? What do I care about? What would be interesting? So I was like, Do Goodery dating, Do Goodery travel, right? Thinking of more product oriented companies, but none of those sounded interesting to me. And so my best friend and I went down to Mexico for New Year's, and this was December 30th, the 21 to 22. And my parents are immigrants. My mom is from El Salvador and my dad was from Germany. My dad actually thought he was Mexican, though, had a deep love for all things Latin America. And so in the 80s, he started going down to Baja a lot. And so we started going down when I was just a baby, and my dental work was done down there. My first sip of tequila was actually in 4th grade in Cabo San Lucas, thanks to my older sisters.
Also illegal.
100%. And my sisters get so mad when I tell this story, but I'm like, it's a part of the story, you guys. So Mexico and tequila have been a part of my life since I was little. And also growing up, I spent a lot of time living in El Salvador with my mom and spending a bucket of time with my dad in Mexico, and really having the opportunity to understand, the difference between living in a country like the United States where, fair-ish wages exist, but just the world looks very different, right? And people can go on these really inexpensive vacations to places like Mexico, but they don't really stop to think, why is it so much cheaper here than it is in the US? And it's always because it's at the expense of labor, right? And the daily minimum wage in Mexico right now is $9 to $16 a day, not an hour a day. And that's if you're lucky. So anyway, fast forward to this trip to Mexico for New Year's Eve. And my best friend and I meet 2 very important couples that played a very big role in this journey. And one of them was a couple from Monterrey, Mexico. And the husband, I loved this man so much. I was ordering cocktails for me and my friend. And he's like, disculpe, and totally interrupting me. I'm like, this what? And he's like, I'm sorry. He's like, can I make a suggestion? Can I suggest a different tequila? And I was like, oh, that's nice. Okay. And so he actually suggested Don Julio 70. And I was like, okay, sure. So we got it. And this was 3 years ago. And it was fantastic. And it was also sort of like a different type of tequila because I was so used to drinking, just shit like Casamigos. I really didn't know much about good tequila, if I'm being very honest. And I've always been upfront about that. I didn't want people to think that I was some tequila expert before getting into this. And so anyway, so I started going down this rabbit hole of learning about tequila and the process and really understanding like how it is the most labor intensive spirit in the world. And again, looking at like that deep inequity. So that's one couple. Second couple from Florida, really nice. They chartered a yacht that weekend that we were there, and they loved it so much that they said, hey, do you guys want to join us? And we're like, well, who's going to say no to a free yacht? So we said, absolutely.
I'm on a boat.
Yes. God. Yeah. Enough Don Julio 70. I sure was. So anyway, I was sitting with the wife, and I was chatting with her about my philosophy around tipping because of the deep inequities in some of these, countries. I always overtip, and sometimes overtipping is like $10-20. But if that's what you're making in a day, that can go a long way. And for me, an extra $20 isn't going to break my bank. And she said, oh my gosh, we totally agree. Fantastic. So the yacht ride was 4 hours. It was a 4-man crew, 4-course meal, and an open bar. And they paid $500 or $600 for it. And so in my mind, I'm like, yeah, those economics do not make any sense. And so I was like, okay, so these guys are going to be relying on tips, which is not out of the ordinary. So when we land, whatever it means when you get to the end of a boat ride, when we docked.
Disembark.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
You dock, then disembark.
Oh, that's right.
Yes. Yeah. So prior to disembarking, I asked her, I said, hey, do you mind if we leave the tip as a thank you? And she said, oh, that'd be great. So I said, cool. How much did you leave last time? Because I want to make sure we match it. Because the conversation we had was that we were on the same page about all of this. And she says $7. I was like, what? And she said $7. And I was like,
off of that?
Uh-huh.
So you weren't on the same page.
Not even close. I'm sorry, $7 a person. Sorry, how could I forget that?
So $28.
$28 for 4 hours of hustling and taking these like glamour shots for this couple and just all this stuff that was just really like, I was like, man, it's all good if you do that, but you got to support the local economy and support the people that are giving you these incredible experiences at a relatively low cost. And so anyway, I looked at my friend and I was like, give me every dollar peso you have. And we ended up giving them $100 each because I felt like we had to make up for the tour before.
Mm-hmm. That happens all the time. Yeah.
Oh, all the time. And I have so many friends in the service industry and it just blows my mind. So anyway, so I came back to the States and a week later I woke up. No, 2 weeks later. Actually, no, a month later. Doesn't matter.
Wait, you were out for a month?
No, I wish. No. I got back and a month later. Yeah.
Woke up a month later. Wait, what?
No, I don't live in that world. I don't know what that would feel like. But so like a month later when we got back, 3 weeks, I woke up one Sunday morning and I was like, tequila, that's the idea. That's what I'm going to do. And my first phone call was to my head of finance for Do Goodery. Her name is Lupe, and her family and her husband's family are both from Jalisco. And her husband's family has agave. And she would recount these stories of being down there in like the fields. And I was like, Lupe, I got this idea. And she's like, I got goosebumps. And she introduced me to her cousin-in-law, who introduced me to a guy, And it is just, that was the beginning and it hasn't stopped. And that was February of 2022.
Wow.
Nice.
Well, that was quick.
Yeah.
2 years. Yeah.
So that would lead into the next question of, with you being a female in a male dominated industry, how do you feel that it has been, has the industry been more welcoming to you coming into it, or have you seen a lot of pushback?
It's really interesting. The distillery that we work with, NOM 1599. Have you guys had Atanasio?
Yes.
Okay. So we're the only two brands that come out of there. And when I was introduced, we went the first trip down to tequila, we truly just went as tourists, really understanding like how tequila works, visiting different distilleries. And then we narrowed it down to 2 distilleries that we wanted to work with. And one was 1599 and the other was Cascawin. And when we came back, I really loved 1599. I loved Renee. It was just him. We didn't have, it was just a meeting or just like a tasting. Nobody else was there. And we followed up and said, hey, we'd love to come back and talk business. And so we get there for the second meeting, and his daughter Shahid is there. And he says, listen, I hope it's okay. I asked my daughter to join us because I think it's really important for her as a young woman to see women in leadership roles in this industry. Mm-hmm. And at that moment, my heart melted. And I thought to myself, this is home. This is where I want to be. And so, we have been, the whole team, all the men that work at 1599, including the investors, have been my biggest fan and my biggest advocate. And so it's been a really interesting experience where like, I also have the kind of personality that, I can sort of roll with anybody. I grew up in not an awesome household. So being adaptable and resilient and strong, it sort of was part of the DNA of growing up, where I did and how I did. I also worked at a Chevron station, not in the cash register area, but out on the island. So I just because I thought it would be interesting to learn how to work with men and do something different in high school. So, listen, there's benefits to being a female in the industry. There's hard parts, there's men for the most part have been incredibly respectful. Sometimes at events, they get a little drunk and we're all like, keep your pants on, sir. But I have to say.
That happens at all events with men. It's not just around you, I agree. It's everywhere. It's a going rate for being around men.
Well, I think it's also, I always kind of think to myself, we've come so far as a society, and it's like, look, we are living in 2024. And I grew up in a house where my mom was a businesswoman in the 1980s here in Las Vegas, and watching her having to deal with in the construction and casino, building the casino's design, general contracting. And I'm like, no wonder she drank so much, like all the shit she had to deal with. And I'm like, it's pretty cool to see the progression that we've made as a society where it's like, and I was having a conversation today with a friend, and I've told my daughter, and we had dinner with my daughter's friends, and they're all, early 20, like 20, 21 years old. I said, it's you guys have like so many doors that are going to open for you because you are women. Run through those doors, go crush it, like good for you. So I think it's like, just kind of like cool that, we live in 2024, and you come down to this part of the country of Mexico where they're making tequila, and everyone's just like, yeah, cool. Let's do business. It's all about the money, really. At the end of the day, man, woman, black, white, gay, straight. It's all about the green. It's all about the money. Let's do business. Let's make some money. Let's, so that everyone gets a little chunk of the pie.
Yeah. We sometimes fail to realize, and when you travel to other countries and you talk about the experience you just had and everything, I know it's 2024 and we still have a lot of doors closed and glass ceilings and all this other stuff, but we've definitely come a long way for the opportunities that women have, the opportunities that minorities have. We've come a long way in the, just the 52 years I've been doing it. So, and when we look back to what, like my mother and those, they had to do in the 60s and 50s. I mean, we've come a long way in a short period of time, and it's just sometimes hard to see it because we're in the middle of it. Yeah. But the opportunities are there.
They are, and we still have a long, long way to go, right?
Well, everybody does, yeah.
It's very different. I mean, I think, and what's so cool is that, I'm certainly not the first female to be entering the tequila space, and women have been the backbone of the tequila industry since the beginning of tequila, and just sort of more of the hidden figures in the back. And so it's really cool to work with people like Gina Castillo from El Tequileño, or Sarah Lamas from Los Lore, Yahaira from Los Angeles. Who else? Yasmin from Tesoro Azteca. Like, there's so many incredible women, and then the women that work at our distillery. And what I love about being a female is, we're really good at collaborating when we are on each other's side. And I think for women, the most powerful thing we can do is be collaborative, but also male allies are everything too, right? Like, when we as a community, as a world, come together for the greater good, like, it's really powerful. And and also for the bad, right? Like, it doesn't, when people come together marching forward towards a brighter future, I mean, the world's kind of unstoppable. We're kind of unstoppable.
Absolutely. That's absolutely true.
Why Valor? Why the name?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, our art director who created our bird Zun Zun, there's a whole story to that too. But we were sitting in our offices, and he's like, "Okay," and we were brainstorming, and he said, "You know, you keep talking about how you want to value people and you want people to feel valued," and he kept saying value. And Rene, our master tequilero, I love the way he says valor. And I was like, valor. And then valor in English means courage and strength. And, so it just kind of works so that anybody that's either in a Spanish speaking country or here that don't speak Spanish, they can say it, but it also has a lot of meaning and purpose. So valor was really about people feeling valued as being part of the company, but also drinking the tequila too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we met Renee and his daughter March. Were we down there in March?
Yeah, it was March.
I mean, fantastic human beings. Just some of the most salt of the earth people. Yes. Showing up, talking, doesn't care your title, doesn't care who you, just there to talk and taste tequila, have tequila. Here we go. We had a really good time at their bar there in Tequila.
Oh, yeah, Extete?
Yeah, Extete.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and it's funny you said earlier about it's just about the money, and part of the reason why we like them so much is that they're absolutely not about the money. Like they were not taking on any new brands until we told them what our mission was and that we were putting people on planet first. And they said, "You are the first group of people that have ever come down here that actually gave a shit about people," and that's and our mission and our sort of, philosophical perspectives to really align. And that's what's been cool about them too.
That's really good.
And so, getting back to the community, you have a water initiative that you're working on. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, and we're going to enlist your help in September when we launch our campaign. So one of the biggest outcomes from these listening sessions that we've been conducting is the fact that there's no running water in this community. Water is delivered twice a week at an undetermined time. So there are often times where women have to wait up until 2 or 3 in the morning to receive the water, to do their laundry, to do dishes, to do whatever they have to do. Some have cisterns to store water, others don't. So they literally just take like milk jugs, or I know it's not a milk jug, but whatever they can do to fill up their water and use that, real minimally for the next few days until the next water delivery comes through. So the water initiative that we're working on is with a nonprofit called Pro Natura. And we're also working with the city of Tequila as well, but to install cisterns and water infrastructure projects so that this community of 167, I believe it is, have access to fresh, potable water 24/7. So
that's really good.
Yeah, because we take advantage of the fact that we have running water, right?
And that's one of the things. Absolutely true. We some of the stuff that we just take for granted in the United States, the running water and the mail system. It's unbelievable when you travel to other countries that we have a place where you could give somebody 32 cents. Here, take this to wherever I want in 4 days and running water. It's unbelievable we have access to.
I had a conversation today with a buddy of mine who's on the job still in law enforcement, and his nephew or his cousin or somebody who's kind of living in a rural part of the country is talking about the Civil War is coming. And I'm like, here, and I just roll my eyes and I'm just like, you mean after you get up, have your coffee that was imported from South America, your clean water that's pumped out. Okay. Maybe you're not on the city well, maybe you've got a city water, but you're on a well, but some engineer had to come out, a drill company it's like the whole society was built on the backs of human beings. And you want to tear it down because you think some injustice is happening. I'm like, and then you go to the bathroom in your toilet and it goes into a septic tank or it goes into the sewer. And for $1.30, the government washes it and sends it back to you and you can drink it. It's like, is this going to be the Civil War?
When I was 15, maybe 20 years ago, I was in India and I was on my way to the Taj Mahal. And I get to taking a train, which was its own shit show of itself. In the train station, I go to use the bathroom, and the guy's like, he's like, whatever the the monetary. He's like, it cost me like 25 cents to use the bathroom. I get in there, it's just a hole in the ground.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to pay the guy another 25 cents per sheet of toilet paper.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, we're complaining when this guy is sitting in a bathroom handing out sheets of toilet paper for 25 cents so you can go in a hole in the ground. Let's calm down on the Civil War.
I went through some terrorism training one time with a alphabet soup agency.
They all are.
And it starts with C, and its middle initial is I, and then the last initial is A.
That'll do it.
And the guy who was a case officer, he's a retired case officer, comes back, he's doing contract training, and he was part of the embedded team of agents of case officers. They don't have CIA
case
agents.
Office.
Yeah, case
yeah.
officers.
Yeah.
FBI has agents, CIA has officers. He's a CIA case officer, and he is working with the Mujahideen in the 1980s to fight the Soviet Union.
Oh, yeah.
During
the good
the
old days.
during the invasion of Afghanistan.
Absolutely.
So he lands on this hilltop. He gets out, him and his interpreter, and they hike. We hiked like 7 clicks. I don't know what the fucking click is.
Son?
So
Jay-Z and Kanye?
So he gets to this. He gets to these Mujahideen fighters in this village. He meets the head tribal leader. They shake hands, and they, we're going to make some dinner. Make yourself feel comfortable. And he says, no problem. I'm going to go. Nature calls. I'm going to go around to the side of this mountain. I'll be back. And he grabbed out of his pack a roll of toilet paper.
Lost their minds.
And he leaves. And he comes back, and immediately he says, everyone's demeanor has changed.
Yep.
And his interpreter is all of a sudden 3 feet away, 4 feet away, 6 feet away. He's distancing himself, and he's like, okay, he's a former military guy. He's a CIA case officer. He's been through all the training. He's like, something's not right. I know something
that I do
human,
wrong?
Something's not right here. Grabs his terp, pulls him in and says, what's going on? And he goes, they're going to kill you. He goes, okay, what did I clearly did something wrong. What did I do? He goes, when you grab the roll of toilet paper, the only paper they've ever seen were the papers of the pages of a Quran.
Yep.
And the only Quran they've ever seen is 100 miles in that town.
Yep.
And it's under a thing of glass. And so they never have seen paper. So they think that you have used, and they only know paper to be a Quran. Mm-hmm. So he goes, okay. So let's have a meeting of the minds. This is paper. This was never a Quran. Yep. This was, this is my journal. And he had to literally explain to them in the moment that there's so much paper in the world and that they just haven't seen it all, because the only paper they'd ever seen in their entire life was on a Quran in a mosque 100 miles away.
That's right.
And so when people are like, yeah, we need to start things over, maybe maybe we don't.
Maybe not.
Well, I believe it's something like only 32% of people in the U.S. have passports.
Oh, yeah, it's really low. It's embarrassing.
I think it's a huge issue.
Like it is, because it's a game changer, right? If everyone had the opportunity to travel and see what we really have here in the United States, we all might think a little bit differently.
So this is my take on that, and I absolutely understand what you're saying. But I've traveled to 1 million countries and seen 1 million things. I will say this about the United States. We are huge as a country, and we have every different type of landscape and environment that you would want. So I can understand why we really have everything here.
Yes.
We really have everything here that you would travel to, except for the cultures.
Correct.
So we have everything here you would want to see, not everything here you would want to experience.
Correct.
But the issue is you have to go somewhere to know you want to experience those other things. So if you've never gone anywhere, there is no inclination or need to go somewhere, because you think, I've seen crazy New Yorkers, I've seen crazy Floridians, I've been in New Orleans, I've seen everything. So you have to go to know you need to go. And that's one of the things that we don't necessarily recognize while we're here.
Or I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, I think there's a lot of fear too, right? And a lot of misconceptions about traveling abroad. I mean, I know
Yeah.
people that won't even go to Mexico. They're like, no, no, I'm going to get killed or kidnapped. And I'm like, well,
Yeah, we talk about that all the time here. Ash will say you can get that in Chicago, son. You
right?
don't
yeah,
have to
one,
go.
yeah,
You
yeah,
don't have to
just
go to
outside of my
Guadalajara
office.
to get picked off.
I
You
mean,
get that in Cleveland.
even in my small hometown in Ohio, there's people that I went to school with that have never ever left Ohio.
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm like, you got to get out.
Well, there was a time in this country in our lifetime when I'm a little bit older than all of you, but there was a time in this country the average American doesn't go more than 9 miles past where they were born.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a lot of travel that goes on when you get into some of the South, and when you get into like I knew people in New York that never been outside of New York. When I first got into the FBI, I met people that were in my Quantico class that were from New York, didn't even cross their mind to ever get a driver's license. They showed up to Quantico with the state issued ID.
Well, in all fairness, you can get almost everything in New York. So
yeah, you don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to drive anywhere. Like it's not a thing. So most people don't travel outside of their own community, much less to other countries.
Right. So what are you telling people as far as getting down to Mexico? Because, you know, like my long-term, my dream would be to own a 20-room little cool motel in Tequila. And all I would do is try to convince, you know, the people who are a little bit older than our generation, not you know, still able to travel, like, hey, turn off Fox News, quit listening to the hype about Mexico, and then just bring them down and give them the horseback ride in the agave fields, give them the distillery tours.
Just the smell alone.
The smell, the culture, everyone's alive.
Right?
What are you telling people as far as like get to Mexico, go see what are your recommendations for them?
Well, it's interesting because I've taken so many different people now to Mexico, whether they're, donors, investors, whatever it may be. And most of them are well-traveled and, but some of them, I throw them in the back of a truck in an agave field and they're like, holy shit. And at the end, they're like, oh my God, that was so fun. Right. And so, what I tell people, no matter where you're going, even down fucking town LA, I'm like, make good choices. Ask right questions. Don't do anything stupid. It's kind of basic. Go to the right places. I mean, here in LA, I can get shot in a heartbeat, right? If I go do something stupid in a wrong area. To me, it's so much common sense. But I grew up in traveling all the time as a kid, having immigrant parents, right? So the street smarts, living in El Salvador during the middle of the Civil War there, right? So I naturally just have all that, which is wonderful. And I feel very lucky, but a lot of people don't. So I don't judge people at all for being scared. It's just a matter, kind of like tequila, like good tequila with good education and talking to the right people and booking the right things and all of that. It's possible, but I always say go with somebody who's traveled before to Mexico, if you can.
This is why I got to do it, man. I got to move down. I got to find a hotel for sale. I got to buy it and I got to start doing this.
I tell people all the time when they ask about it, I say, it's like, oh, is it dangerous on there? I said, it depends. Ask yourself one question. Are you trying to buy drugs?
Totally.
No? You'll be all right.
Totally.
No, you'll be cool. It's a yes or no question. Your safety is dependent upon one thing when you travel. I don't care where you're going. Are you trying to get drugs?
Yeah. Whether that's Las Vegas Boulevard.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where it is.
Yeah.
If not, you're fine.
Or don't get super drunk and act a fool, right?
Don't act a fool.
It's they're like just basic.
But you're talking common sense, good situational awareness. It's kind of you said earlier, everyone's afraid. We do kind of live in this world right now where everyone's afraid of everyone. Everyone has a fear-based mindset. How do we move out of that? I always say, hey, this is
social media. That's what I say.
It's the way we consume our news.
Mm-hmm.
You have to change the way we consume information in order to get away from that.
All the misinformation, right? Like the influencers that are out there, like talking about crazy shit where whether it's putting something on your skin, like something recently, someone convinced people to put shit on their face.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm done. I'm done.
That Biggie Smalls said it. I tell people it's the way we consume it. Like my mom. My mom is deathly afraid of sharks, right? Deathly afraid. I said, Mama, You were born in Cleveland and lived in Vegas your whole life. You shouldn't even know what a shark is.
Right.
Why does this fear exist? You shouldn't even know what a shark is.
The only shark in her life is the iron. The shark landing iron.
But that's the way people consume their information. You shouldn't know what it is. That's just the way it is.
I also think that social media is helping in a way because now, like, I watched a TikTok of a guy in Mexico and he's like, don't come to Mexico. It's so dangerous here. My car broke down and I'm in this little village in the middle of nowhere, Mexico. My cell phone is dead. And these guys look shady. I walked over to them and they said, just take our car to the next town to get your tire repaired. And if the tire repair shop isn't there, drive another 20 miles down the road and then, throw some gas in and bring it back whenever you're done. And he was obviously being very facetious. Complete strangers in a village in some fishing town, probably in Baja, because it looked like Baja to me. They're just, no problemas, take our car, do what you got to do.
Gosh.
This community, this idea that this stranger needs help. And like, that's my favorite thing about going to Mexico. We get there on a Sunday night. Last time we went, we get there Sunday night. I think the next day was like the Mexican President's Day. Everyone's out. There's kids riding motorcycles with no helmets. It's like dogs and cats living together, mass pandemonium. I'm like, and I loved it.
No sugar.
There's no regulations. The cops are blowing their whistles, just getting the traffic through. I'm like, these people are living. They might make $1 an hour, but they are living life tonight. And that's what I love the most about like getting into tequila at night and the city's alive and you go get those street tacos and everyone's just out living their life. That's my favorite part of it.
The street tacos are the best.
Amazing.
They are
amazing.
They are. My stomach has paid for it many times, but other than that, they are.
I knock on wood. I've never had any issues with the street tacos and tequila. The only thing that ever messed me up was the fish. That fish stand. I think it's an Ensenada. It's the same one that Anthony Bourdain went to.
Did it mess him up?
I don't know, but I think it's the metals in the water. I don't think it was the fish. It wasn't that the fish was bad. It was just there's heavy metals in the water, and it screwed me up.
Well, I get all my fish from a farm in Korea, so it's metalled up. So my stomach is set.
Yeah, you got some Pyongyang.
I don't have any problems.
No, and you're right. I've never gotten sick in tequila. When I say street taco, it's like literally leaving an agave field and stopping on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere tacos. That's what's gotten me sick. So
yeah,
legit from the street.
Yeah, that might happen.
Yeah, and not sick, just like
that's what Cipro's for.
Dude, no, but they have it down there between the electrolytes, the probiotics. Like it's incredible. It's incredible. It's incredible how quickly you can feel better.
So do you have any other initiatives that you're working on?
Yeah. So one of the next things, once we get this water infrastructure in place, the next thing we're working on is a professional development program. And so we're going to be growing our own agave and bringing sort of older generation agaveros and jornaleros together with the younger generation to train the younger generation, because right now the agave industry being as volatile as it is, there aren't like, you don't have a biweekly paycheck, right? It's all of it is like day labor, it's contract, it's not even contract. And so a lot of these guys leave the agave industry and join the cartels because at least there you have access to sustainable income. And if you have to feed your family and feed yourself, and that's your only option, of course, that's what you're going to do. That's what I would do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so now the next big initiative is, well, again, the water initiative is going to take some time, but once that's done, is working on this professional development program so that they get paid during this experience, both the agaveros and the like next gen learning how to do this and wanting to become involved. And then eventually, being able to pay these guys, and paying these guys consistently. So it's, it's sort of a much bigger vision down the line, but that's one of our big things, is to figure out how do you create opportunity for these guys to have sustainable income year round.
And speaking of that stable income and those opportunities, how do you see the growth in this very niche industry of additive free tequila, and even smaller industry of where you are trying to ensure everyone is treated equitably? Do you envision growth? You think it's sustainable?
I believe so. As we as we look at the economics of this and forecast out, as we grow as a business, how to again maintain a healthy profit, but at the same time make sure that everybody wins in this. And so the whole idea was that this was it'll take us a couple years to figure this out, but that we could create a business model that is successful so that other companies could model after this and we can help other companies do this. And it's, again, this Rome wasn't built overnight, but we believe it's possible. And so, one of the things that we're really invested in is we have a foundation called the Gente Buena Foundation. And the Gente Buena Foundation is the one that funds all of this different work we're doing down in the region. And we're actually going to start inviting brands to join the foundation as partners. Because our background, my team, we all have this background in doing this community work and community development work, but most people don't, and that's fine. They don't, they make great tequila. And so I think for us is if we can create something that is demonstrably successful, we don't understand why anybody wouldn't want to join us in this pursuit, of a more fair future for everyone. So for us, it's going to take time, but we're kind of on a 5-year plan. That's what, between like the success of the business and the success of, creating this business model. But we can't do it alone. And by no means are we trying to do it alone, because what's the point? And some people ask us, well, why are you just helping 167 people, or whatever the number is? I was like, well, first of all, why wouldn't we? It's the community that we work in.
Why not?
Yeah.
What's the downside?
Yeah. But second, I say this is not about just helping this one community. This is about creating an example of the possibilities. And if we can make this work and we can be successful with this one community, imagine what we could do. Again, not just in the tequila industry, but I mean, the fashion industry, the food and ag industry, the coffee is doing a great job, ish. But so much that it's possible, right? That it's possible that everybody can win ultimately.
I used to tell all my young cops and all my cops back when I was on the job, you can save, if you can influence, change, or redirect or save the life of one kid, you've done you've provided generations of life ahead of them.
It's like the butterfly effect.
100%. This whole thing about why just help 163 people? How about just one?
Yeah. And that was
absolutely.
That's when I go back as to when I first 25, 30 years ago became a teacher. I mean, I used to say the same thing. One day, you will watch a kid as I was an English teacher, trying to explain some deeper meaning. And one kid would have aha
light
moment.
bulb, the light bulb flickers.
That's one thing that could charge you for days, weeks, months.
Yeah.
One kid, one time understanding one thing could charge you for months. So anybody that says, why would you just help 160 is I'm talking one at a time, son.
But people want to change that people want to be right, and then people want to be effective. And I'm all about being effective. It's like people want to be right to millions. I want to be effective to a core group of people, because that will reverberate. If you can pick what that Dunbar's number, 150, people that you can actually keep in your sphere of influence, or whatever that number is in the village. If you can influence those people, you have way more impact than trying to be right to a million people. It's our political problems today. Yeah. You have politicians who are like, I want 1 million people to like me, instead of going, I want to be effective for my constituents, this 100,000 people right here. I'm going to be effective for them, versus I want to be liked by all.
Yeah. I'll go back to the social media thing, right? Social media has been enormously detrimental to that, right?
Yes.
Like this need to be loved and admired by strangers. And then I meet some of these influencers and I'm like, you don't even know how to carry a conversation.
Yeah.
No.
I would agree with that.
It's a one-way medium.
Well, that's what I see on social media is I see a lot of white noise.
Oh God. And I think about like young kids, right? Being influenced by some of these things, and it just, or men or women, right? Like if you don't have a core community around you and like all you're kind of like alone, and you see like, I should be looking like this, I should be making this, I should, whatever, like
Well,
terrifying.
I was watching. It's like that guy, the Liver King. I don't know if you're familiar with the Liver King.
No,
Guys,
tell
just
me.
when you're
My
making shit
algorithm
up,
is literally
son.
cats,
Does
dogs,
he
and
eat liver?
horses.
Does he have a bad liver?
This guy-
What's he the king of?
This guy was talking all kinds of mad shit on the internet, and I'm watching, and I'm like, that dude's on steroids.
He's like,
He's not just eating raw liver. He's not just eating liver.
no, like he would eat raw meats. He would eat,
Yeah.
you
Is he a
know,
lion?
bull testicles raw.
Well, yeah, don't we all?
And then
for his following.
but he had hundreds of thousands of young guys who are going out and doing stupid shit, and then he comes out, okay, I have
It
been
was
on.
Joe Rogan that called him out.
Yeah, he's on steroids.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I looked at him. I'm like, but I'm 47 years old. I've eaten the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil. And even now I see some other guy on TikTok and I'm like, why is he trying to control what I think? Shut up. But young guys, young girls, they don't know to scroll. They just think it's on the internet. It must be true. I even see it in the tequila world on TikTok and in the social media.
Yeah.
It's just white noise.
Well, it's funny because I also think adults suffer from this too. Again, if like you don't really have a solid community around you, and this has become your community, it is, you know, it's, you want to believe, you know, people want to believe easy fixes. They want to, you know, it is. And I genuinely believe that this will come to an end. I don't think, because the influencer world can only last for so long, right? There's only so many things you can influence.
Yeah, we will absolutely wrap our arms around
right?
it.
AI is going to change all of it.
Yeah, we will
That's like a
absolutely
whole
wrap our
other
arms around it.
topic that is so terrifying.
Yeah, we're years away from that taking over. But yeah, we will wrap our arms around it like we've wrapped our arms around everything else.
I think
a
lot
like this. And I say to people all the time when we talk about the trials and issues of how this is going to kill us. You know, when we were growing up, rap music was going to turn us all into hookers and gangbangers because they cussed in their music. And when our parents were growing up, the rock and roll was going to turn them all into hookers and drug addicts. Yeah. And when you know, it's every generation has their thing that the older generation say, this is going to be your downfall. And miraculously, every generation makes it out and makes it a little better. I think so. We're going to be fine. Yeah. It won't be Tuesday.
I remember watching Tipper Gore on Oprah talk about putting warning labels on music, and I'm like, fuck you. I'm gonna go buy that album tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's exactly right. The moment that you try to take, that's why prohibition didn't work.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
fruit.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, right? Like people will make make their own choices, and if they want to find something bad, they're going to find it. So, you know, but if it was regulated, then we'd probably have a lot less deaths and God knows what else.
Yeah. So we talk about this situation all the time in law enforcement, on the in the FBI when we're talking about the effects that music and video games and all this stuff has on people committing acts of violence. And the way we explained it is that the music and video games don't drive someone to these acts of violence. No. Someone who's on their way to an act of violence finds a music and video game that expresses their feelings
and plugs it into they create the picture in their head of how this is going to feed their desires.
Yeah, and they plug it in. So it's definitely one, not the other.
Huh. Interesting. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
I've always wondered
when
about
Snoop
video
Dogg
games.
and Dr. Dre said that they were rolling down the street, you know, smoking Indo, sipping on gin juice, we didn't all say, you know what? It's time to do it. You know, we just, you know, we find the music to express our feelings.
I did put some gin in a peach Snapple in college in my dorm room. And it was delicious.
Yeah. Well, that's just
rolling down Interstate 80 in Reno, Nevada, though, in my 6'4". That was in a 90 Chevy Blazer.
Yeah. No, it
was white.
When you feel sad, you seek out sad music. Yeah. Listening to sad music doesn't make you sad.
I told seek it out. Right. I tell my daughter, turn off Billie Eilish if you stop listening to sad music.
Exactly.
Yeah, put on the Bee Gees. Yeah. Let's get going.
I got two questions. Two answers. Rob Bass.
Oh my God.
That'll fix everything. You feeling bad? Put on some Rob Bass and Easy Rock.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, listen, Snoop Dogg has become the representative of the United States of America.
He is the greatest entertainer that we've ever had. We're talking about guys that have been to jail, been on murder charges, sold drugs, and now they're chilling at the White House and on Sesame Street and hosting and representing us. They have done all those guys, Ice Cube and Snoop. they have gone from fuck the police to only playing cops in movies.
Pillars.
We all love.
Pillars of the community.
Literally pillars of the community. I mean, they have really done a lot for that
But
entertainment.
isn't that an incredible example, though? They were given opportunity, right? Like they didn't choose to continue this life. The life that they had before was just a result of their environment, right?
Yeah.
But because they were able to get themselves out of that, like they, and this is why I believe like change is possible for people when you're given access and opportunity.
Change is possible. So true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, and especially going back to like the water thing, right? We all get to live good lives because we have access to one very fundamental right, which is water. And it allows us to take showers. It allows us to show up to work clean. It allows us to do all these things, right? And so we were all born with running water, I believe. And it is incredible what
Unless
happens.
you live in Flint, Michigan, then you don't.
Obviously, there are incredible pockets in here in California too.
That's true.
But like when you look at the work we're doing down in Mexico, like we're not trying to save lives. We're not trying to be the savior. We're just trying to give people opportunity and access like we had it. That's the only difference, right? And I was just lucky enough to be born in a country that was democratically free with, a roof over my head and food on the table. And so, yeah, I don't know. I really think we have to stop dehumanizing people because we've been doing that for a long time.
So with that, how can we, as Tactical Tequila Podcast, and how can our listeners help you with the water initiative?
Buy more tequila.
Buy more tequila, 100%. And then also donating to the Gente Buena Foundation. And we're actually launching a big campaign in September, really trying to grassroots fundraise around this because we know people don't have a lot of money, but if 100,000 people gave us $5, imagine what we could do.
Right,
and so we're really trying to make this accessible for people to be part of this. And the tequila community is really big. And then so are their friends and their friends, right? So if we can create a compelling pace to be like, here, Apple Pay, this, it's obviously legit nonprofit and all of that, to Christiana's pocket so she can make more tequila. No,
and I think people don't realize you don't have to give $100, $200, $300. We're not asking for, if everyone just throws a $5, it's like a tip. You throw $5 in the till at the bar, the bartender's going home. They're, the bus boys get tipped out. The back of the house is getting tipped out. Everyone gets a little cut of the pie. It's $5.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be crazy.
Speaking of buy more tequila, where around here can we get your tequila? I know. Matt knows.
We are still trying to work on getting Valor to Las Vegas.
Oh, Christian, you have one job.
It's actually
no.
Not me. It's not me.
No, not you. Who is it?
Not me.
I have provided all the information in order for them to get here. It is the distributors in Nevada that
never trusted those people.
So hopefully, if they are listening to this, hopefully they, realize.
Let's make it happen.
And listen, you guys, what's really helpful is if you go into your local retailers and bars and restaurants and ask for us, that's super helpful too. Super, 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 super
Will
helpful.
do.
And we will for sure do that.
You guys are obviously in California, right?
We are. We're in California. We're all across Walt Disney World in Florida, which is really exciting. We're the first female-owned additive-free brand that Disney's ever brought in.
Yeah, you
cheers to that.
You got to be drunk to visit that place.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Roller hell.
Oh my God. I got to drink thinking about that place.
I would imagine if you have kids, I don't have children, but I imagine I would want to be drunk bringing kids to.
Yeah, that's one of the good thing about being divorced and my ex-wife, her parents are divorced and my parents are divorced. That means my kids have 8 grandparents. That means I ain't doing none of that shit.
Awesome.
Somebody else will take you to that hell on earth, and it won't be me.
Well, at this
8 grandparents, son, you can't beat that.
At this point, your kids are old enough that you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, exactly.
We're little. I've never been. Imagine that. I've never been. Nope.
Oh, we got to give it a chance.
Never happened. 8 grandparents.
Never going to happen.
It's fine. I love it. Sorry. I mean, I also worked there, but listen, It's like they have the wine and food festival. Like they have a lot of cool adult stuff too.
Yeah, I can find all that other stuff at the Bellagio.
Exactly.
And not have to deal with the shit show.
Let's go to Mandalay.
For the,
to get that
for
stuff.
the amount of Florida travel that you have, though.
Yeah, it's all for football and drinking at the beach. You know, good stuff, man. The stuff we pay taxes for. It's not for
my God.
Disney.
Yeah, we're actually in a cool resort in Florida called Alley's Beach. It's up north, like northern. And then we have a bunch of guys from the PGA that love us, so we're doing a big event with them.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then we're really started to penetrate the golf course market and country club market here in California too. So it's cool. It's
They
really
have
cool.
no money or influence.
Yeah.
Well played.
So
I really didn't know that I don't play golf and I got to get on it. I just got to find the time to learn. But I had no idea that golf was so big until tequila.
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah.
So do you have any big events coming up that you would like to let everyone know about?
Well, we are going to be at the LA Tequila Fest on September 7th. You guys should come out for it. It's a wild event, but it's kind of fun. We'll obviously be there. And our Añejo's coming out. I'm not giving a date anymore until I know for sure those bottles are on a truck. Oh, yes. Did you guys all try it?
We have not tried it yet. Oh, your glass is empty.
I'll try it.
Oh, but you guys have to get into the camera together because I want to see your reaction after trying it.
So for Jay is not really
He's a Blanco
tequila
only.
neat or.
Oh no, it's not that I'm not really one. I am a hard no, son. Hard no.
I am very much a Blanco person as well.
Yeah.
I am not an Añejo person.
Yeah, I am a Blanco in the warm, hot months, maybe Reposado in the fall and winter. Very rarely, but I like good alcohol. That's my thing.
I do too.
So I will tell you that I had the luxury of trying this over this past weekend at Sabor y Couture. And I will tell you that I was just blown away by the flavors, the aromas that you get on this. Like it's on point for an añejo.
It really drinks like a repo. It's really good.
Yeah.
You want to smell it, Jay?
Never gonna happen.
You sure?
Oh wow!
Come on,
no
Jay.
Disney, no Añejo. Okay, Jay, I see you.
No
get it.
straight liquor. I had a bad experience, Christina. I had
Christiana.
a best. Oh, Christiana. Oh, the A is covered up on the screen. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, it is. I had a bad experience.
So,
Oh,
do you have any plans on coming out with a high proof anytime soon?
yeah, that's a 2025 plan for sure.
Can't wait.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited too. And $15.99, they absolutely. I really want to do a still strength. And I got my first still experience with our juice when we first produced, and I was actually surprised how much I could drink of it and not fall over. But yeah. So yeah, we have a lot of interesting plans coming up for the future. It's just time and capital and all of that. But things are slowly coming together. And you ask how you guys can help with the water. It's this right? Like just giving us opportunities to talk about the product, to talk about what we're doing. It makes a huge difference because we don't have a marketing budget. Everything you guys see is all done by us, right? Like it is still super, super grassroots.
All right. I know it's go ahead. I know it's getting close to 7. You got another meeting.
Yeah,
So
I'm actually going to meet the governor of Durango tonight.
Oh, come on.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. We have a great relationship with the ambassador to Mexico here in LA. So,
good. All right. Well,
that's
far more important than watching Asher socks wiggle back and forth.
Listen, Jay, I haven't.
We get a lot of ball busting from people that we know about our socks.
It's so funny. I mean, it means that people are paying attention at least.
Yeah, there's that.
I mean, there's clearly more things to pay attention over than our feet or where we have our feet placed. It's the information that we're providing.
I always tell my old lazy partners sitting at their desk, get out and hit the streets, put the podcast on Spotify and turn off YouTube and
No.
go hit the streets. But no, they're sitting behind their comfortable
Oh,
cubicles,
that's so funny.
typing
Yeah,
reports.
I only listen to podcasts when I'm either hiking or cleaning or driving
Yep,
on
yes.
long drives. So yeah.
There you go. All right.
Oh wait, does this thing go? Is this video too?
Correct.
Yes.
It's on
Oh,
YouTube.
So we'll be on YouTube.
Video.
Yeah, your hair looks great. Yeah, it's
Yes,
awesome.
your hair
Thanks,
looks-
guys.
Yeah.
Thanks. I have to go change into a dress now and look like an adult.
Oh, get it done.
so-
All right. Well played.
Where can everyone find you? Plug all your stuff.
Follow us at Drink Valor. And then from there, I think basically that's like where to start. That's where we're the most active. We're also on Facebook too, but
What
All right.
what about Do Goodery?
Do Goodery. You can follow us at Do Goodery.
That's on Instagram. Perfect.
All right.
All right.
Thank
Keep it
you
going.
guys. Thank you guys so much for this opportunity. It was
All right.
really nice meeting you all. And I'm going to take you up on that tactical driving course, just so you know.
Yeah, when you get out to Vegas, let us know. We'd love to show you around, and we know the real Vegas, not the silly.
I listen, I need to be just kind of like you, Jay. I do not have an affinity for Vegas. So if I can be shown a different Vegas, I'm all in.
All right. That's fair.
I'm
All right. Go
all
ahead. Change that dress. We'll let Ash change into his night dress.
Yeah.
Oh,
Whoa.
send me pictures, Ash. I can't wait to see. Keep the socks on,
Where?
though. Keep the socks on.
He always does.
I always have my socks on.
He does. All right.
Oh
Have a
my
good
God.
one.
Christiana.
Christiana,
guys.
thank you so much.
Yeah, have a good one.
Thank you, guys. You too. Have a
Salud.
great evening. Salud,
Drink
salud,
more.
salud. Bye.
Bye.